Now we're connected.
Cool.
Well, good evening to Simone Mularoni. How are you, brother?
Good evening to you. I'm doing fine. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's before lunch here, but it's evening for you.
Just had dinner, so I'm
How
full,
was it?
relaxed.
Yeah.
Great. Italian, of course.
Of course. I've been watching a lot of old Italian horror movies, and I thought about it last night going, oh, I've just watched Simone's movies,
Oh,
Some Brava and, and Della Morte, Della Mora and stuff like that. Some old
oh,
cheesy
okay,
movies.
okay,
You
okay.
probably grew up with those.
Exactly, exactly.
So before we get into
All
the
my
newest project,
nightmares.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, all my nightmares come from those movies,
From Mario
basically.
Bravo and those movies.
Yeah.
So, before we get into the A through Z, why don't we talk about DGM? You released the new album in October. How did that go?
I mean, the album, the reaction was actually stellar. I mean, we still don't have the sales, all the numbers because it's usually 6, 8 months
Mhm.
in. So we're still crossing our fingers, but I mean, we can tell from the critic reaction was awesome. And you remember our fear was to, oh, this album is a little bit different, and hopefully it will be accepted by the community. And honestly, I think people like the new direction and the freshness of the
Mhm.
ideas. So it's like it gave us more like push to do more in the future in that vein. So it's like, and playing the songs live. I mean, we didn't have many shows yet. We have one in a bit and more in the summer after the summer, but
Mhm.
we're rehearsing the songs and we really have fun. So it's like a new life in the band, a new spark.
That's awesome. Yeah, that kind of
Yeah, I
feeds
mean the
off the
only the
audience. Yeah.
yeah, the only thing is that probably in the press, people still don't know how to label us. Are they heavy? Are they proggy rock? So we're kind of in the middle of the community, because there are all the prog rock guys and all the heavy metal, power metal, prog metal guys. It's
Hmm.
I mean, to me, it's all the same because I like great music. So if you have a good song, it can be pop, it can be country, it can be heavy, but especially in the metal scene, they always like to label
Divide them up.
exact, categorize, and yeah.
Yep. For me,
So
when I was
it's
growing up, everything was just called music, and now everything has to be genreified.
exactly. So I see, I follow a lot of, like interviews like the ones you do and all the web zines and stuff. And I saw like, oh, they don't know about my band. They should, because we're now more in that
In
vein,
that vein,
So
right?
it's but I guess it's a learning curve. The more you do of what style, then the more you enter in some circles of people and of webzines and whatever.
And I think in the 21st century, with the internet, things have kind of opened up more than they would have been in the 20th century, to be
And
able
the
to cross
great thing,
pollinate into different countries and stuff.
exactly. And the great thing is that I always constantly receiving emails from random people. Some of them are like they write for magazines or webzines more than that, and they always, oh, I just discovered your band because of the connection of, and that's the greatest thing about internet, because you can have the direct, how do you say, like feedback, from
Hmm.
people rather than waiting to meet people in shows that will never happen, for in Australia or whatever. So it's always great to connect with people and see the instant feedback of your music.
I got to say, years ago, talking about the algorithm and everything, I was on YouTube and it was Russell Allen, the duet you guys did with him all those years ago.
Right, right,
That
right,
video was recommended to me. I'm
right,
like, oh,
right.
I got to check out this band. And then all those videos, just I became a fan.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I do the same myself when I listen. For example, today I was fixing stuff in the studio and I had Spotify going
Hmm.
like randomly. I don't remember. I think I put the new Steven Wilson album on,
Hmm.
and it was going in the background. And then when album ends, it starts like random algorithm giving you random songs.
Sure.
And today, every 5 minutes, I was like, oh, what is that?
That's something
You know,
new.
you hear some great stuff, and then I was writing down the names, and then I never have the time to listen to them. But still, I have a long list.
You
I
have a
have a
list
long
to get
list.
back
Oh, I
to.
have
I
to
do that with
check.
movies too.
Right. I have to check all these, and then people recommend you all the time. Oh, you gotta listen to that thing, that solo. That okay, I will. Exactly. My list is endless, but that's what plane airplanes and flights are made for, because I have all my list downloaded, and then okay, now I have 8 hours of checking stuff.
So you run your own, I mean, we didn't really introduce you because most people know who you are, but he plays guitar in a band called DGM, but you're also a producer, mixer. You master, what do they call that? Are you a masterer?
I don't know. I think a master of what? Of nothing,
A
probably.
master
But
of mastering, you know?
exactly. Mastering engineer. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't do a lot of mastering itself by itself. Usually it's the combination of things. When bands ask me, or labels ask me to produce stuff, usually it's mixing and mastering. So
Oh, okay.
so I do all at once, while the actual mastering studios, they have this like giant monitors, speakers,
And
and
multiple.
they
They'll have
really
the
go
big
in
ones and the
details.
little ones and the mono one.
Exactly. I only have 3 pairs, so I'm just too small to be called a mastering studio, but I do mastering all the time.
And you switch between those speakers for the different sounds. You want to make sure that the mix sounds good in all
Exactly,
of those
exactly.
speakers.
I do that all the time. I have the big. They're not super big. They're like standard studio stuff, which I use mainly to do the basic sound, the tones of instruments. But then I always use the old. I'm sure you remember those, like the NS10s, the
Mhm.
Yamaha.
Yeah,
The
with the big
from the
white
80s,
woofers.
90s. Exactly.
They
And
say that
they're
if you can make
like,
anything sound good on those, and it sounds good anywhere.
and you know what? For the first 15 years of my career in the studio, I was like, oh, they sound so shitty. I will never use them. But I had one pair, in my garage. And then when I built this new studio, I was like, oh, let me try them. And then the more and more I realized I was using, because I have a switch, right?
Hmm. And
So
you
I
can
was realizing at the end of the day, yeah, at the end of the day, I was like, oh, I was on those speakers for like 6 hours, and I didn't realize that because my ears adapted,
hmm.
to that kind of sound. And
How
so,
much
but
of
it's
that?
actually true.
So with your
Yeah,
production and mixing and all that, you do a lot for DGM, but then you get a call from another project. Like, did they just send you an email or a Facebook message? I mean, how's that work?
yeah, yeah. I mean, TGM is actually like probably 1%, because other than that, if I do one DGM album in 1 year, then the rest 11 months are basically 10 different albums or more, like sometimes 20, because DGM, as you know, I record, I produce, I write, I do my coffee for myself, I do everything, right? While other bands mainly record by themselves somewhere in their studio for friends at home, whatever, and they just send me the track. So it's just mixing and mastering, which takes usually like 2 weeks,
Hmm.
20 days, an album. So I can sometimes I do like, I don't know, like 3 albums in 1 month, different. And yeah, I mean, the method on how they contact me always varies. I mean, sometimes it's like friend of friends, bands which I already produced that recommend me to their friends. Sometimes they see a lot of them, usually they see who produced their favorite albums. For
Uh-huh.
example, when I did like, I don't know, the Romeo from Symphony X 2 solo albums,
Mhm.
that brought me a lot of stuff, because
I'm
he's
sure.
is the best in his category. So all the people, all the fans that were buying the album, they were saying, "Oh, is this Italian guy? Strange name that produced the album." And that's another, in my opinion, bad thing about internet and Spotify is that it never states who actually mixed the album.
Right.
So,
You don't get all the
back then,
details.
right, back then, or even I still buy old vinyls or my favorite record, and I love to see, oh, they recorded drums here, that guy did the editing, that guy mixed. While if you listen to an album on Spotify, it just says produced by, but it doesn't mean anything. It can be produced by the band, but who mixed it, who
Hmm.
recorded. And it's harder nowadays to find who did what, so
But for
it's
me, I
that's a
mean, that's how
shame.
I learned what I learned back in the day. I read album covers when I was listening to the album. I
Right,
got done with the lyrics and I'm reading, oh, yeah, they recorded, oh, Iron Maiden recorded there. I know that studio, and then you put all that stuff together over the
right,
years.
right, right, right,
Now with
right, right.
CDs, I
And
have to get my
also,
reading glasses out, but
but still you can read everything. And then, yeah, I really love, I mean, so some people contact me on Instagram or Facebook, whatever. I mean, whatever it takes to communicate. And I've been lucky. I think I've been lucky to from it. I mean, there are really not a lot of Italian producers in hard rock and heavy metal.
hmm,
So I've been lucky to work with a lot of bands from abroad, not only locals. And I mean, I still remember when I had my first copy from a band that I produced, and there was a sticker on that, which was the highlight was produced by, mixed by Simone Mularoni, and it was like, oh, now I'm
you're on a
I'm
sticker on
am
the
I that
front.
important? Yeah, a sticker. And then I said to myself, oh, probably the band was so unknown that they had to put something on the sticker, and they put me. Yeah,
Somebody
no, I
known,
mean,
right?
I'm
You were the
I'm just
pull
kidding,
for
but
somebody to buy that.
I'm just kidding. But it's great when to have the recognition about from people. It's sometimes they say, oh, I have friends of mine writing me messages. Oh, did you produce this song? And I'm yes. Oh, I can tell. And wow, that's great because it's not only that I wrote the song, I just mixed it, but
Right.
still they can hear something. I don't know what it is. I think it's taste in your ears. Because if you decide to put that effect on vocals rather than whatever, like guitar tone or whatever, it has to be your taste. They dictate
Some of the best producers of
which
all time
amp are
had
you
a
using.
sound, right? I mean,
Right,
the old
right,
wall of sound
exactly,
kind of thing or that kind of thing. If you're a really good producer, you kind of, I mean, the band wants you to put that kind of signature on it because that's your sound.
exactly. I mean, there's always been a debate in the music business, at least in my field, in the recording, because some people says, oh, the producer should be like transparent, so it should enhance the band, but not putting his touch. But to me, it's impossible because every choice you make, even, oh, should I choose this microphone rather than the other one? It's a choice.
Right.
And that choice is dictated by your taste. Why did you prefer that microphone over the other one? So it it's always your taste and your ear in the end that creates the sound. It's impossible to be transparent 100%. And I think it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's great when you can recognize someone producing, singing, writing, whatever. I mean, it means that you have a style of
Hmm.
your own.
So is that how you got the call from the A through Z guys? Did Mark Zonder, did he reach out and go, hey,
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you know the story,
I
but
don't.
it's. I'll try to make it short. I did the first album
Hmm.
they did, I think 2 years ago,
Yeah, it's been about
always with Metal Blade.
hmm.
Yeah, but I didn't play on the one. And the thing is that Mark, the drummer, who is the leader, I mean, is in charge of everything. Like decide all the decisions and stuff. And he was searching for the best producer for a mixer, basically, for his album. And they already recorded all the album. And he went basically shopping. He sent one song to 9 different producers, paying all of them. It was a great, experiment, because if you care about your music, you want it to sound it as good
As
as
best
possible,
as it
right?
can, right?
And he told me afterwards, he told me that he sent to basically no to 7 guys all around the world, and one guy won 4 Grammys. He never told me the name, but four
Right.
Grammys for mixing albums. So he was like, "Oh, I'm sure that guy will like destroy all the other ones because he won 4 Grammy, right?" So,
Right.
but then he got back all these 8 mixes, and he was like, like good, but mm, not completely satisfied. And then Ray, I think it's from Ray Alder, the singer, and then even the keyboard player back then. It was I worked with them in
Mhm.
separate projects. I mixed Ray Alder solo albums, and I mixed the keyboard player albums like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And they said, "Oh, we have a guy in Italy. Why don't you give a shot?" So Ray contact first was Ray because
Nice.
I met with Ray a lot of time. We played in Redemption in America and Pro Power, so we're a little bit closer.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Okay, we have this song of this band, which was unknown, like a secret still. Would you like to try?" And I was like, "Sure. I mean, I did your 2 solo albums. Why not?"
Why not? Sure.
And I thought it should be probably the same stuff, like the same being Ray involved. And then I got this song, and I really it's hard when you do like blind tests like this because you don't know how the band wants and what they want.
They're
Do
kind
they
of
want
just
like
looking to
super
you to
big?
do your thing.
But it's always, do they want like big arena drums, or they want like 70s dry drums, or they want like big reverb on vocal? You don't know. So I just I just told to myself, okay, let me do what I like. And they all loved it. They were crazy. And Mark started to write me like literally like 100 emails. "Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it." And then from there, I mixed all the album, and it wasn't easy because not because they're pain in the ass, not at all, but they're super, how do you say in English, like
Particular,
picky.
picky, particular
Exactly,
about their
exactly,
sound.
picky. So it went like 8 different versions just to find the basic sound, like, oh, I want my drums like that. And he's a legend,
For
iconic
sure.
drummer. So everyone in the band, they're super great at what I mean. The bass player, he plays with Steve Vai. I mean, it's
Oh,
not like the
amazing.
average bass player.
Mhm.
So Ray Alder, he sings with Face Morning, so it's not a local band that you just mix and then see what happens.
These are
So
guys that have
they
30, 40-year careers.
Right. So I don't want to say a struggle because it wasn't a struggle. It just was like a deep research and different tests of finding the. But then after that, it went smooth. And then the album did good, and I didn't hear from them for a year.
Mhm.
And then I got an email from Mark that he told me, "Oh, can we chat on the phone a little bit?" "Yeah, sure." And I thought, oh, they're going to ask me for the second record,
Sure.
just mixing. And then he told me he had issues with some of the guys in the band, the keyboard player and the guitar player, mainly because he wanted to bring this thing live, and they were holding back. They were like, "Oh no, we thought this was like a studio thing,
Right.
and we really don't care." So they just went separate ways because of that mainly. And he wanted also to have like a heavier record. I mean, not heavy like thrash metal, but a less ethereal proggy thing,
More
and more like
guitars.
more guitar, more in your face. And then he asked me, "What do you think like writing some songs and play guitar?" And I was like, "I don't know, writing, because I don't know if that style it's my style.
Right.
And also I don't have the time. I told him I don't have the time to go, because he really needed like a full member, like every day back and forth
Mhm.
sending ideas. And I was like, I have the studio, I have no time for that. And I'm sorry. But still, if you want a guitar player to play all the guitars, I'm in. If I receive the song, which is already written, then I can spend like 4 nights creating
Solo
all
and
the stuff. And then,
Mhm.
the great thing is that they started to write songs with Nick, the guitar player from Redemption,
Mhm.
which was strange to me at the beginning, because in Redemption they're super complicated, super complex prog stuff.
Mhm.
And then I thought, oh, Mark won this hard rock in your face kind of sound. What's the deal? What's the link?
How is it going
And then
to?
I heard the first songs and I was like, oh, is this Nick writing? This is great stuff. And then I wrote to Nick because we're buddies, and he was like, oh, I'm having so much fun because I don't have to count like 17, 18, 15, 16, and I can go like full blast 4/4 like hard rock stuff. Of course, with a little hint of proggy here and
There
there.
is
It's
in
not
there,
like
yes.
Van Halen kind of hard rock, but it's a good mixture. It's a good balance, in my opinion.
I
And
think
the
your
good and the
project, at
great
least from
thing,
what I've heard so far, is more rock than it is prog or complicated.
absolutely. But still, you have. I mean, when the full album will be out, there will be some songs are more proggy,
Hmm.
some songs are more rock, but still the sound is this in your face kind of hard rock, classic rock sound. And then to finish this long story, they basically asked me just to play solos, just the leads. And then I was like, oh, I think I can add. I asked them, can I add some more stuff? Because I have more ideas, like old arrangement. And then I ended up filling the whole album with. So basically, we have two layers.
Hmm.
One layer is Nick playing the basic rhythm guitar. And the second layer, I play pretty much all the song, not only the solo, with all this different stuff, for me at least, because I
Little
experimented a
thing.
lot with big pedal board,
Hmm.
like little arpeggios or little reverby thing in the background, a sort of keyboardish kind of stuff. And it's not always shreddy or full velocity
Super
stuff.
technical, but
It's
it
just
adds flavor.
no, 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 no. I mean, there are, of course, in the solo. I go like, okay, pedal down, and I do all my
Because
stuff.
other guitar players are listening.
Exactly, exactly. And I want to have fun too. That's the fun of that. But that, and I had so much fun because the guys were like, "Oh, do more. We love it. Do more, do more, do more." And sometimes I had to tell them, "Guys, I have like three parts going on in the same verse." Oh, then we'll choose in the end. Okay, okay. And then again, the difficult stuff for this album was not mixing because now I know them. So it was way easier, right?
Hmm.
The difficult part was to choose which part, because we had three ideas of mine and two ideas from the keyboard player and backing vocals from Ray. So it was like, okay, what should I do here? I have like three songs in one. And then again, back and forth, like emails and calls. But I think it's a great record. It's fresh. It's you'll tell me. I mean,
Well, so far we have the
and
song.
it's
I've
great.
been able to stream a few other songs, but the one song, nothing. That's great song. Like I can play that on all my radio stations.
Yeah, and also I think I can tell this because it's not my. I mean, I didn't wrote the song, so I'm more objective. And it's really an album that you can enjoy while driving. Like classic rock stuff.
Hmm.
But still, if you want to go deep with your headphones and search all the ear candies, it's full of that. So it's like a good balance between like the nerdy proggy stuff and the more hard rock thing, which I like. I had fun.
Is it hard to not go all full nerd on just about everything you do? I mean, is it hard not to? We could make this so much more difficult, you know?
I think I think it's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing because what I think, and I really, really, really respect, and I'm jealous of all the bands that are super technical, but they choose when exactly use the most technical thing part rather than not.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm moving away a little bit, in my taste, from the like Dream Theater Symphony X, which was my main influence for like 20 years and more.
Sure.
and I'm moving more towards, that Frost, all those kind of music, because they can really write great songs, and they can choose when they want to go full nerdy, when super complicated.
Hmm.
And this is a I think this is a thing that you learn by experience, because it's always like that. When you study new exercise, or
Hmm.
a new chord, a new something new, which is difficult, you want to use it. So you're like, oh, I spent 2 weeks in learning this thing. Now I want to use it all the time. But it's not like that. You have to. My idea is that you have to learn everything and then choose. Okay, I want to use this in this piece.
Because these days we have so much technology. You have plugins, you have effects, you have hardwired stuff in the studio. You also have all that stuff you can add after the fact. And if you threw everything on top of it, it'd be like an everything pizza. And I'm just not into those. Give me a pepperoni and maybe one or two other things, and you get a better pie that way, right? I mean,
Not pineapple, hopefully,
no, no
on pizza,
pineapple.
but that's another story. No, yeah, I thought you were I thought you were mentioning the technical aspect, but if you add like the musicianship,
Hmm.
like the shredding, but if you add all the technology we have here, if you go crazy about, you have to, as you said, you have so many options that it will drive you crazy. Every
Between the
time I
technical
have to
and the
choose.
musical. I mean, that's
No,
obviously a
it's
give and
like
take
it's
thing.
like it's like a few 1 month ago, I was talking with Romeo from Symphony X, and he's writing, right, the new album, and he asked me, "Can you help me with like a template, like a template with my computer? Because every time I start writing, as everyone else, we're lost in, oh, which library of drums we can use for the demo, oh, which." And you're scrolling, and you spent like 6 hours searching for the snare,
Hmm.
right? And it's crazy, because back then you had one choice: to go in the rehearsal space, play with your drummer, and that's it. And that's how you write the songs. And maybe in the studio you had a few hardware units, and then you can use that, and you only could use that. Nowadays it's like endless,
Hmm.
endless. And I'm guilty of that too, because sometimes I spend nights in searching, like, which is the best pad sound for keyboards in this part, and then I feel dumb, because, like, oh, I wasted like an entire
Hours.
evening searching a sound. I mean, I love bands that care about the details, but
Sure.
I think there should be a limit. Like, like, okay, now the creativity is gone, and now you're only scrolling in your library searching for
I think
one sound that is.
at the very bottom, it has to be a great song. The melody,
Yeah,
the,
that's
the writing, the lyrics, it all has to come in. But you could play it on acoustic guitars into one microphone in a church, and it could still be a great song, right? And then you add all the other stuff to get it to another level, but not take away from it.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, we're all in the prog metal community. We're all guilty of not thinking about this thing that you just said. But in the end, what people remember is hooks, vocal lines, and choruses, right? So
Hmm.
it's like they don't remember the unison guitar solo that you played in 32 notes, with a keyboard player. You
Right.
just remember because you enjoyed playing that in your studio, and it's flashy and it's showing off, basically. Which, again, I'm not saying I don't do it. I do that all the time, but I'm trying more and more to put it in just that space, in just that, and it doesn't change the song. As you said, the song has to be a great a great vocal line, a great chord progression, simple things.
Something you can tap your foot to and kind of sticks in the memory. That's hard to do these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, when I discover bands that are that again, I always come up with Frost because I'm obsessed now, but uh, they can come up with super catchy songs, and in the meanwhile they're playing like so much complex stuff, which is
underneath, right?
crazy.
But it comes to that
But
chorus and it
I,
sticks in your head.
yeah, but even when they're doing the super difficult stuff, there's something that is memorable. It could be a vocal line or a keyboard line or whatever, and that's great, and that's great. And they always, and I really respect all these bands which are always searching for something new rather than like doing the same song over and over, which is fine if you're AC/DC
Right. They've made a great career out of
I'm
it.
not expecting AC/DC to play like 7/8 proggy stuff, of course, right? I mean, if I go live see AC/DC, I want to hear AC/DC for an hour and a half, and then I'm bored. But that's me. But no, I mean, jokes apart, it's. I think every musician should continue to study and trying to expand their not only abilities but their knowledge of music and
Mhm.
trying to come up with different things, right?
So here you are working with the
and again
AD
and again
guys. Go ahead.
what
No, go ahead.
no, I was just saying about them, about A through Z.
Mhm.
And another thing that I was missing was working with other people, because you always work with your band. Yeah, I produce all these bands, but that's work, right?
It's
I
you in the
mixed,
studio.
and right. While being I mean, I met the guys in A through Z in January when I went to LA and we did the videos and photo shoot, and I've been there 1 week with them and working with them, like no talking to each other, like playing together, even if it was video clips, right? It's so refreshing because I was like, oh, I'm playing with the same guys since 20 years, and I love them, of course, but to hear someone else playing differently the drums or singing differently or coming up with different bass ideas, it's you learn a lot from that, like a lot. And I'm lucky because in the studio, still from time to time I have bands here recording when they can, so it's great because you see other people playing and you learn, okay, maybe you can play everything they've done, but then there's that little piece. Oh, what just did you play? Oh, I was playing this. Oh, great. And then you go home and you study from that, and something happens. So just
And you add it to your repertoire of things you remember that you're
right,
going to
right.
use later
And
on.
now I was watching yesterday night, this great video from Jordan Rudess about AI. Is all into AI things,
Mm.
and it's marvelous things, like crazy, like incredible stuff. But still, I think what you take about playing and talking to other people, it's I mean, how can you replace that?
You
I mean,
can't.
right? You can. Even if you train the algorithm to be the smartest guy in the world, it will always replicate something that other people
It's not
gave
the
to it,
same as
right?
collaborating with a human.
Right, 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 right. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to enter in the AI thing because I mean, it's great. It's all technology. It's great, but still, working and talking, communicate with people and musicians. That what makes you grow, and I think as a person and as a musician too.
Or radio guys talking to musicians. I learned a few things today.
Right, right. Me too. Me too. All the time. I mean, talking to you is so great all the time.
Well, let's do it again. We're about to run out of time, and I don't want to keep you because I know it's nighttime over there. But man, another fantastic. We have the best conversations. We need to do this more often. We could do like a regular podcast.
Yeah, man, whenever you want, whenever you want. I will promise I will study more English so I will be more fluent.
You're doing great. No
But
problem at all.
hopefully I'm getting better and better interview after interview.
You are. And
I'm
I'm
really
gonna
cu- I'm really curious. Say it again.
you go ahead. You're really curious.
No, I'm really curious when you listen to the full album, maybe we can talk again and then we can talk about about single songs, and if you have more questions. And
Yeah, because I want to hear how you come up with these solos. These solos, they're these you combine that kind of Neil Sean, David Gilmour soaring thing with some of the technical and the
that's the
melodic
best.
stuff, and I just love
The,
that.
you know, that's the best compliment
Oh yeah.
I ever get. Yeah, because Neil Sean, I mean, all the young, I mean, I'm not old, but all the people that I talk to, guitar players in the studio, nobody, they never talk about Neil Sean. And to me, it's like, oh, Journey, they're like cheesy, you know, like cheesy. Have you heard like
The early stuff.
every album in Journey? Yeah, but even in the cheesy songs,
He's
I
doing
mean,
some
I
incredible
will.
guitar work.
Yeah, but I would love to have written the cheesy Journey songs. I mean, they're like memorable songs ever, and the
They
guitar
are.
work is like insane, insane. And as you said, like he can go shredding too, but when he goes for the long notes, he and Lukather, they're like
They soar. It's like
gods.
flying.
And every time, every time I do a solo, I'm constantly, I still have this I want to grow in this because I still have this, oh, maybe I should play more faster because people expect they expect that I will play faster.
Mhm.
But sometimes, honestly, sometimes you play fast because you don't have other ideas, because it's easier to fill the gap, the space with.
With a bunch of notes.
It's really easy. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy technically, but it's easy because it's way harder coming up with a great melody. So it's like with a memorable one.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's because the backing track you have, maybe it's not great if I solo on other people's stuff, of course.
Mhm.
Because if I write the songs, it's not that I'm great, but I know what I like. So, I will write
And you know
my
what
own
goes
backing
there.
track to be, yeah. But I really want to go way more than, I mean, the trend nowadays, when I open Instagram, I always found like faster guitar players and craziest licks, crazy stuff. And I want to go the opposite. I want to go like, oh, okay, let me see Neil Sean, what he did like 40 years ago.
Right?
And I try to mimic them. No, I think as you said, that the balance between the two parts are like what makes a solo interesting. Otherwise it's boring, right?
Otherwise, it's just technical.
Yeah, glad you like them.
I picked your solo out immediately on that new song, and we will. We'll talk in a few weeks when the album is out, and we'll talk about the album. How about that?
Sure, 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 sure.
Thank you
Anytime.
so much.
Anytime, my friend. Great. No
I love
problem.
these conversations. We'll do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, my friend.
Thank you, sir.